Well, hello and welcome back to the garden. My name is Brandon and I garden in Zone 9B, Southeast Texas. And in the last couple of years, one thing that has become very important to me in the garden is privacy screening. And in an effort to make that more efficient, I've had to learn a little bit more about what I can do to spread the privacy screening capability of certain plants. Now, this plant here is not one of my main privacy screening plants. This is one of my fun plants, but I want to use it to show you one of the kind of two ways that you can shape trees and get them to do what you want them to do. I did show this in a previous video with the Leucophyllum frutescens, aka Texas sage, and I want to show you another plant today, and I'm probably going to record the process for almost every plant that I have to do this with, which unfortunately for me prevents me from actually doing the work unless I'm willing to pull out the camera to do it. But this is one of the ways that you can shape a tree or shrub, and that is through passive pruning. So if I've got a branch coming out into my way here, I just remove that branch. And as you can see here, I've already taken off a few branches right here that were preventing me walking through this path, and I've got lots more cleaning up to do besides just this couple of areas here. But another thing that you can do, which is not as easy to do with this particular plant, is you can actually push them out of the way, and in that way you get to conserve the branches. You can actually keep more of the material on the plant and not have to do so much damage to it, because anything that you cut off of the plant is going to do damage, even if it's inconsequential and doesn't really cause a noticeable effect. It's going to do damage, and if I want to, like I said, create a visual screen, I'm going to try to conserve as many branches as I can. So, and on that note, we're going to go travel to the other side of the yard and show you the plant that I'm going to work on today, and that is one of the wax myrtles. Oh, we haven't been over here in a while, huh? So this is an area that may not look like I need a lot of privacy in. This is my only solid fencing in the garden. Everything else is chain link, or, well, there is a brick wall behind you. But this wax myrtle here is one of my subjects that is going to be used to provide some privacy. The main issue with this area particularly that I'm trying to work on is that when I'm in the front yard, there's a clear view into my neighbor's yard, and with me and my social anxiety, I don't like to have people out in the corner of my eye and stuff watching me, watching what I'm doing. So I'm trying to build this cocoon of plants that I can hide under while I'm working out in the garden and doing all of my business out here. So this is one of those plants that is important for this. Let me show you what the view looks like, and what my plan is for this one. So as I said, as you are out here in the front yard, basically you can kind of see straight over into my neighbor's property, and the wax myrtle that I'm talking about is right there. So the plan is for that to come up and cover this area and spread out and provide a privacy screening. And yes, the wisteria here is currently doing that, and this is another subject that I haven't gotten into a video for another day. That's one that I'm going to call my failures as a gardener, and you'll find out why when I get there. So let's take a look at why I need to work on this wax myrtle. The most obvious glaring problem here is that I've got a branch that decided to grow out here in the middle of the aisle here, and as I said, yes, you can come in and just lop this off, but if you want to conserve more of the plant material so that it grows faster and covers a larger area, I could save this. Now, I may choose not to because it is very low down here on the plant, and my main function for this plant is going to be to I can either have a single trunk that branches out more as it gets above the fence line, or I could try to pull this in one direction or another and have it be a second trunk. But I do want to make a decision soon, and probably today, and it'll probably be to sacrifice this, as I was walking in the woods recently, and I love looking at wild trees and seeing what they're doing, and I found some old wax myrtles in the woods that illustrated why you want to make this decision when these branches are smaller very well. So here is that wax myrtle, and as you can see, it comes up into a few really beautiful trunks, and along the trunk there was a 2-inch hole, which is caused by a branch. Maybe someone came and cut that branch off, I'm not sure, maybe it just died off on its own, but that hole is not healing over very well, and it will probably end up causing that wax myrtle to snap in half during a storm. Although in the current setting that it's in, it's unlikely that it's going to cause the tree to die for a while, but it does weaken the tree overall. And in a garden setting, we can do things to avoid that kind of a situation that happens in the natural settings. And one of those is to prune off the little branches that I know are not going to be a part of my plan before they get too big. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead and decide which ones I want to lose. So I think you can see everything here pretty well. The number one thing is I don't need branches that are jutting into the back of the fence. So everything that's growing into the back of the fence, I'm going to go ahead and remove. And that wasn't that many, thankfully. And then I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice these smaller guys down at the bottom. And when I say sacrifice, I might mean propagate, because I can take these and propagate them. That's actually where this particular tree came from. I know I'm calling it a tree, and it looks like it's not a tree, but it's going to be a tree. These guys can be used as either a shrub, a bush, a hedge, or a tree. I love them as trees. I like to use most things as trees so that I can still plant down around them. I cleaned this area up a few days ago, but it was pretty wild. And now a lot of dormant things are here, and they will come up in the spring. But I'm probably going to go ahead and leave these because they're not really a big problem. And I think I've got to move you guys to show you what my next work is going to be. So I know that this is a tough angle here, but what I wanted to illustrate here is that I'm making an artistic choice here that you don't necessarily have to make, but I like to do things artistically because even though it looks like I'm a gardener, I'm really an artist. So this is going to be the main trunk here probably, and I'm going to say that I want to keep this as a secondary trunk that I let branch up here, but this one was too low for me. That's why I decided to sacrifice it, and pretty soon I'm going to come in and trim these two off as well, but I'm going to give them a little more time to keep feeding the plant first. So as you might be able to tell, it is branching out quite nicely up here at the top. This is the kind of canopy growth that I want to see, but a little higher. And I'm going to leave this here and trim it down as it becomes a problem or as the tree gets taller. But as I said, you could leave this here, but I'm going to try to keep it a little tighter to the fence, and I'm going to do my thing that I do, which is I'm going to alter the angle a little bit. So I don't know if I'm going to pull it down here. I think I am. I do have to consider that in here. Maybe I'll just strip a few leaves off to kind of show you guys. So here's our junction here, and if I pull it this way, obviously that's going to reduce the length of this. But my plan here, looking at this before I even came over in here and started filming, was to probably pull it this way and hold it here. And then this branch, I will probably pull in the opposite direction, which will leave this here down low. And then that will eventually come up and be a trunk. And then this part will come up this way and be a trunk. And in that way, I can have one plant here, but spread out the top canopy on a plane so that it's kind of providing the maximum amounts of, like I said, privacy screening in this area. And then I will have more of that as we go along. But I've made some mistakes on this back fence, and I'm working to fix them, and I will talk about them in future videos. But for now, let's get on to the shaping part. So I've got my handy kit here that you guys have seen before. What I've got here is a couple of anchors. So I have one with a hook. I'm going to go ahead and choose to use that today. And I should probably make sure that you guys can see what I'm doing, because I know that I did not show very well in the leucophyllum video what I was doing. So again, when I know I'm going to have an anchor going this way, I'm going to aim my anchor down in that direction. Of course, I'm going to anchor it like this so that it's pulling against the ground this way and doesn't come out so easily. I think I had my rubber mallet, by the way, for the last video. You shouldn't do that. Don't ruin your rubber mallets. This is a metal mallet. And then, I would like to reference y'all to my leucophyllum video for the fancy schmancy knot that I'm using to do the actual anchoring here. But if you can see from far away, I'll give you the little tutorial again. So again, you never want to wrap this around the trunk like that. You want it to be loose. And also, I have a lovely situation here where I have a branch here that will, if I put this up here, and I'm not sure if I want to go that high, but if I do, it'll keep the knot from slipping down the trunk. So I'm going to try that. So what I love to do is push the plant down to where I want it and just see if that's working or not. And I think it is. See, I'm getting that nice curve effect. And although I would like to lop this branch off and leave it as a single trunk, I think this one is too valuable. So I'm going to try to keep it. So here's the knot again. So go through once. Sorry. So yeah, if you have your rope this size going over, it doesn't matter which side it goes over, but go over your initial line, through once, twice, and then you can, I'm going to hold tension here. Try to make sure that the knot is set up to where the bottom is the bottom down there, the top is the top, and then I'm going to come down over, make a loop, and go through that loop. And then when you let go, that causes tension in the line and does not let it slip back up, unless you want it to. I actually found out that if you pull on the tail, that it will let it go back up. But I don't want that, so let's just slide that back down. So it's an adjustable knot, very easy knot, and it gets the job done here. And sometimes I'll take the excess line and do something fancy with it. I know how to do all kinds of, crochet, macrame, knitting, and so sometimes I'll make something pretty and sometimes I'll just leave it like it is. Now I realize now that I've forgotten another part of my kit here, which is a drill and a screw. So I'm going to have to go get that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an anchor somewhere in the fence. It's an old fence, so I'm not concerned about that. And that will be my point to which I pull this back that way. So let's go get that set up real quick. And we're back. Okay, so I've moved y'all to where the glare isn't so bad, but my body might get in the way a little bit. I'll try not to. So, I've got a little selection of things here that I could use as anchors, but what I will probably do is opt for a simple screw. I did cut 2 pieces of rope for this. I'm going to try to choose an anchor point just using my finger and pointing towards the area that I need to go. And the reason I do this is because if I did it here, it's not moving at all. Here, it's a little bit better, and I'm also testing the tension to make sure I don't break things. The further you go up, the more flex you get, and the more that tension is kind of spread out over everything. I'm probably going to go somewhere like this. There's actually a really good branch right under here that I can anchor to. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my anchor now while everything is loose. And I'm going to do this so that I can see more or less exactly where I need to throw my nail into the fence so that I don't have to do that more than once. So, oh yeah, that's gonna work really well. So, good. I was hoping I might be able to put it where I have one of these baseboardy things. Okay, perfect. So, really I could have done this in multiple places and still had the same effect, but it's better if I don't put a screw directly through where, you know, my neighbor is not always home and stuff, but I wouldn't want to put a screw where he's going to get stabbed. Now this one doesn't need the fancy knot. Make sure I'm still pretty good here. So yeah, you just do whatever knot you can here just to get it attached. And then I'll usually just loop it, do like a double knot thing. And that's pretty much it. So, as I said, I'm eventually going to come back and probably sacrifice this branch, and I don't need to worry about this one yet, but if I was so inclined, I could put another anchor here to kind of keep this a little bit tighter to the fence, because this is a narrow area. But for now, I don't think I have to worry about that. Now I'd like to go show you a few of the other wax myrtles and give you a little preview of what I will be doing with them, but I'm probably going to do a detailed video showing what I'm doing with each one. It's not so much a how-to or a tutorial, I'm just kind of providing entertainment. As we walk down this way, gosh, I should see if I can insert some old photos of what this area looked like before the wax myrtles and everything. You can see that I have a few wax myrtles here. I've got 3 technically. I just planted this one a few weeks ago because they're on clearance at the Houston Garden Center. Oh my God, that's my best kept secret. I'm nervous telling people this, but they get very, very cheap in the fall, and they do propagate easily, but there is a little bit of a wait time for them to come up. But it's not horrible, so don't be scared to do that. But anyways, this is one, that's one. These are about 2 years old roughly. They started out the size of this one and now are this. They come up quickly, they're easy to work with, they feed the birds. Oh my gosh. I'll show you guys if I can. There are little berries all along the stems, and I saw a warbler eating them the other day, and I was freaking out. I was so excited. But what I'm going to have to do here with these soon is a little bit of creative maintenance like I just did with that smaller one, but I should have done this sooner. I did a little bit. You might be able to see these really low branches here. I did pull these down and they're doing okay, but all of the really strong growth is up here at the top. So I'm going to be pulling like some of these branches way over. I've got a whole trunk over here that is just completely unused. And see, I can pull this all the way down over here, and as all these little branches get more light, they will really fill out, and like I said, create all of that lovely privacy that I crave so much. I do have some other things here as well, but I'm slowly cutting them out. That's why I planted a wax myrtle in front of this rose here, because it's not doing what I need it to do. Now, these things that I've been talking about so far are the shrubs / hedges. When it comes to trees, I'm going to tell you as a preview, because I will be showing some trees I'm working on too. The one thing that I'll tell you I've made a mistake on is not going far enough. I shaped this tree from a little stick. Makes me want to cry thinking about it and how big it's gotten since. And the one thing I regret about this is that I did not go harder at it, that I did not keep it way down here and then let it come up into a crazier shape, because although it is beautiful and I do really love this tree, oh, it would have been so magical to have it come way down here and then have this dramatic curve and then go all up into its weeping branches and everything. If I could do it again. But here we are. So I do plan on, moving to a larger property in the future, and that being the retirement property. And these things will be kept in mind when I get there. But for now, I just wanted to take you along and show you that little wax myrtle. And then soon here, I'm going to be showing the bigger wax myrtles, and then the sycamore tree, and then my volunteer elm trees that are coming up everywhere. But again, that's a story for another day. So, You guys stay warm out there in this 80-degree weather in January. Oh, it's funny, but it's also so sad. I'll see you guys in the next one.